Hi there, guys. This is Josh Burton Chadwick here on the Gold Coast. I have finally put this together. I've got to let you know this is the actual first time in my life that I've ever recorded my own presentation without anybody there to feedback off. And for those who know me, I'm a feedback king. I feed off the feedback. So it's a whole new experience to me, but we'll do our best in going through this. I've also cut this back. This used to be a 4-hour workshop. I've cut it back because 4 hours to me for a recording is way too much. So I've cut some slides out and just filtered it back, done under an hour if possible. So welcome to the personality profiling workshop, also referred to as social styles. The intent of the workshop is to hopefully assist you in becoming more aware of the learned people skill of personality profiling. The intended result of learning this people skill will allow you to firstly communicate more effectively, use less time, exert less energy, feel less tension, anxiety, frustration, and become more productive. So if those are the kind of results that you would like to experience, you're in the right place. Learning people skills will be the most lucrative decision you'll ever make in your profession. All right, I mean that. By the completion of this mini workshop recording, you'll possess a very good idea of why 95% of people who enter this profession are currently being ineffective with 75% of the people that they're attempting to communicate with. What you do with this knowledge is up to you. Let's begin with what some refer to as the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. More simply stated, I believe, treat others as you would like to be treated. Although this golden rule may be useful for some, it doesn't make sense in the world of marketing ideas. In the world of marketing, we have a different rule, and we call that the platinum rule. And that states, treat others the way they want to be treated. Treat others the way they want to be treated. Or maybe even better stated, relate to others in a way that they would like you to relate to them. Many believe herein lies the difference between the amateur and the professional in the people business. Meaning, we define an amateur in the people business as someone who has not learned people skills and seldom leaves his or her own perspective or comfort zone, as we call it, when relating to others, and tends to blame the other person for his or her failing in the communication process. A couple of examples of this. Here we go. Look on the left there, you'll see golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And you look at that little cartoon drawing down below that, and you'll see that the golden rule basically is me-centered. All right? It's about me. It's about how I would like other people to relate to me. All right? Whereas the platinum rule on the right, it's not about me, it's about you. All right, so if I'm trying to communicate a message to you, I need to get away from the golden rule type of thinking and get into the platinum rule type of philosophy, which is my concern and my focus is how best can I relate to you in the way that you would like me to relate to you. If I don't make that transition from me to you orientation, we're going to be in trouble. And that's the difference basically between the amateur and the professional. So here's a couple of little cartoon style things to, give you an idea. This person on the left, he's thinking to himself or herself, I like coffee. So here's coffee for you. And the other person, ugh, I don't like coffee. That's the golden rule. And down the bottom I've written here, I'm wondering how many people can connect this example to anything else going on in the world today. Can you? Here's another one. What would you like to drink? Tea, please. That's the platinum rule. Okay, you're relating to them on what their needs are, what their objectives are, and you're not going to find those out unless you ask questions. Personality profiling is a learned people skill. We're going to be sharing techniques that will allow you to identify behavior in yourself and in others. Learning these skills will also assist you in relating to others more effectively by identifying how people use their time and energy. In addition, we'll learn how to establish comfort quickly. Have you ever felt you've failed to communicate your message successfully because you were too uncomfortable with the person or they were too uncomfortable with you? Let's look at a reason this may be happening by understanding the two types of tension that we're dealing with. On the left there, you'll see relationship tension. On the right, you'll see task tension. Relationship tension, there's an example, meeting someone for the first time. We all know how tension inside can go up when we're a little bit hesitant of meeting someone important or going on stage for the very first time, standing at the altar maybe. Getting divorced, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, it depends how much money it's going to cost you, I guess. But that's a good example. Those are good examples of relationship tension. That relationship tension is not productive, all right? On the right, we go to task tension. Now, task tension is productive because it moves you to do something, all right? If you've got a bad toothache, you've got to go to the dentist. That pressure or that tension is task tension. Tax time is coming along. Prior to making an important decision, you may be feeling tension, all right? And that tension is going to make you make the decision that you need to make. A sports player's tension, like a golfer, I relate to that as an ex-pro. When you're actually in a tournament and you've got, you're coming down the 18th and you've got to make a birdie to force a playoff or something like that, the tension that you feel, and the focus that you feel is because of task tension, all right? That's a productive type of tension. Let's look at it on a graph for you. All right, depending on your social style, meeting someone for the first time can create that tension we talked about. Now you'll see the red cross at the top. That's where your tension is. Usually, in the other person that you're actually trying to relate to, or show a business to, or whatever. The tension is high. The point here is that if you don't drop the tension, you're going to be in deep doo-doo. All right, you must drop the relationship tension before you add on the task tension. Very, very critical. Some people call that building rapport. And really what that all revolves around is the greatest reason that people do not get involved with us is lack of trust. Lack of trust is 76% of people, and we go deeply into that in the weekend workshop that I do. And it is unbelievable that most people, I didn't even know that before I learned that, obviously. But I went to a workshop many years ago, and there was a research done in Canada of over 200,000 people, and they had 10 questions to ask each. So that was like, 200,000 times 10 is 2 million answers came in. And after they'd filtered through all the answers, the question was, when you're approached about a great idea or a great business, why do you say no, even though that you may be in the market to actually buy or get involved in that product or business? 76% came back, and basically all the answers came in, 2 million answers came in, and they could be filtered down into 4 main reasons. And the first major reason, 76%, could be filtered into no trust, either in you, the product, the company, the idea, the philosophy, whatever, but it was no trust. And this is what we're trying to deal with whenever we're communicating as professionals with new people that we don't know. The tension is usually a little bit high, that relationship tension, and we've got to spend some time, whatever time it takes, to drop that tension before adding task tension. So that is really important. Question, what behavior do you believe we would see if we didn't take the time to drop the relationship tension prior to adding that task tension? Fight or flight. And that's not the behavior we need or want at this point of the process. All right, if you're creating that type of behavior, and it doesn't have to be physically like the cartoons there, it can be just emotionally. All right, if you have not spent the time to drop that relationship tension, the lack of trust aspect of the whole process gets higher. All right, so the higher the lack of trust becomes, you might as well stop the presentation or stop whatever you're trying to do right there and walk away, because without trust, you're not going to get to the end of the process, and you're just wasting your time. And probably more importantly, you're wasting someone else's time. So again, critical. Remember to take whatever time required to build relationship prior to going into the next step. And there's that chart again. All right, so drop the tension, then put on the task tension, regardless of how much time it takes you. Okay, research indicates that behavioral experts agree that everyone has unique and identifiable behavioral patterns. And I think we can all agree that over time we all form certain beliefs and we become more comfortable doing things in a certain way. We form what we call a comfort zone. The term that is used to describe how we interact with that comfort zone is called a social style or a personality profile. That's where it comes from. Most of us like to stay in our comfort zone for one good reason. Any guesses as to what that reason might be? I think you're smarter than me. I got that wrong. Yep, it's because it's comfortable. Okay, the problem being, however, that being comfortable is not always effective when relating to others who may have a different comfort zone or social style than our own. Agreed? Let's test this. Take 60 seconds to write down 6 character traits that you admire in people with whom you like to do business. All right, now I'm going to put a stopwatch on this for myself. So I'm going to give you 60 seconds. And starting now. 6 character traits that you admire in people with whom you like to do business. Now, in a workshop, we would get feedback in 60 seconds. Yeah, so we can't do that, obviously. So you're just going to have to think of traits in your own mind, and you can let me know later. We're down to 25 seconds to go. Fifteen seconds to go. 2, 1. Okay, I've put in some things that I would like in someone else that I communicate with. I love positive people. I love honest people. People that are trustworthy. They're reliable. I like high integrity and ethics. They're fun. They're clear. They're focused. They're happy. They're fast. I like fast communicators. All right. Some people like slow communicators, depending what social style that you are. I like people that are time efficient, supportive. They're easygoing. They're good listeners. They're patient. And they're detailed on what they're sharing with me. Okay, let's do it again. Now let's take 60 seconds to write down 6 character traits that you do not like or admire in people with whom you do business. Or you could say, or mix with. Okay, let's go. 6 character traits that you do not like or admire in people with whom you do business or with whom you mix. Most of this workshop is related to our business, of course, so I'll be using terminology to do with the business. So we're trying to approach someone, or we're trying to invite someone. What are the 6 traits that you do not like or admire in people? The ones that are hard yakka. 9 seconds to go. Okay, now we've all come up with different things. Here's a few that I've come up with. Negative, they're dishonest, they're not trustworthy, they're arrogant, they're loud, they're too serious, they're unclear, they're not focused, unhappy, they're too emotional and inefficient with their time. In other words, they waste time, they're unprofessional, they're too easygoing, they're a bad listener, too talkative, or they're impatient. Now, my social style is primarily I won't tell you that yet. You'll guess what that is. But the point being here is that we all have our differences in what we like and dislike. So why the difference? Why do you think each of us have different preferences as to the people we like to mix with, both in and out of business? Could it be that each of us have lived and experienced life differently to everyone else, which has enabled us to create our own unique beliefs and perspectives of life? You bet. So can we agree that we each have our own individual unique preferences as to the types of people with whom we like to mix, both on a social and on a business level? Yeah. Cool. On a business level, experience shows us that we can be much more successful with certain types of people with others, yeah? So would you also agree that we all form impressions of others almost immediately upon meeting them, and that these impressions are usually either positive or negative? Cool. Question: how long does it take you to decide that someone is funny, serious, aggressive, introverted, or extroverted, a pain in the butt, etc.? Usually quickly, right? Why do you think we forget people's names so quickly after first being introduced? Could it be that we're not present enough to hear them? What possibly would we be doing too much of that could shut off our ability to hear, to listen to the other person's name? What do you reckon? You got it. Our mind is too busy analyzing and snap judging other people. So when we first meet somebody, we're quickly gathering the information, snap judging. Are we going to get on with this person or we're not going to get on with this person? We're waiting for little signals of whether that's possible or not going to be too possible, right? But there's a danger, a big danger, a real danger in judging someone really quickly. Any ideas on what that could be? And to me, when I first learned this, it was phenomenal for me because I was doing this. I was judging people really fast. And the danger is that when we make a snap decision about someone, much of the time we continue in our relating process with them as if the judgment we just made was true. All right? And in most instances, when we make a snap judgment about someone else, we're extremely inaccurate. For example, have you ever made the comment to a friend, that person's a real jerk? And then got the response, actually, he's really an okay person when you get to know him. You ever had that happen? I have. So the learning is we must always hold our judgments when dealing with others. The conclusion, we all tend to relate better and be more effective with some kinds of people than we do with others, both in and out of business. Some people we find it so easy to communicate with, while others, well, let's say impossible comes to mind, right? Okay, ready for some tough love. This is Henry, by the way, on the left there. That's my behavioral expert. He keeps me on track. If you're in the people business and actually desiring to build, you cannot afford to simply write off 75% of your potential market simply because you don't happen to like their behavior and or are too lazy to learn the required people skills to enable you to effectively communicate with those 75% who are different from you. Can you? So 25, 25, 25, 25 makes up 100%. Right now, 98% of people are only relating to people that are like themselves. All right, so only 25% down there on the left corner. They are not relating to the other 75%. Most people involved in the people business are totally unaware of why they're being ineffective with 75% of the people they attract and approach. And I'll add here, this is why they get really excited and they're around for a month or two or three or six and then they're gone. They never sat down and worked out why it was so hard for them. They're unaware of the massive difference to the lives of others and their own income that learning people skills will make. I do hope you've done the sums on that. No? Well, then simply do this. Take your approximate current income from your business and then times it by 4. The difference between what you're currently earning and that figure you just came up with is the sum total income you've been willingly leaving on the table up until now due to not knowing and applying the information you're now learning. How are you feeling about that? Can you see how critically important knowing this stuff is? Before getting into the 4 primary personality profiles, let's take a quick peek at the 3 human dimensions and why identifying by behavior is our only option. There are 3 dimensions: propriety, intent, and competence. Okay? Due to not knowing people well enough to work out what they're thinking and feeling, we use behavior as this is the only dimension we can actually observe. So propriety is behavior. Intent, we don't know their intent because it's a feeling base. Competence based on their thinking, we don't know that. So proprietary is all we've got to go by, and that is their behavior. Okay, let's get straight into the 4 different personality profiles or social styles. Here they are: driver, expressive, analytical, and amiable. Until 2 days ago, they were shark, dolphin, urchin, and whale, all right? There are lots of different names for these, all right? So we're going to stick with these names because we got these in on the vote. So, and actually, personally, they're the ones I prefer because they actually express what they are, all right? The driver, the expressive, are fast social styles, all right? What do I mean by fast? I mean, they're usually walking fast, they're talking fast, they're doing things fast in their life. The bottom 2, analytical and amiable, they're slow, more slow to action. So the analytical is slow and factual, the amiable is slow and emotional. The driver is fast and factual, and the expressive is fast and emotion first, all right? Which basically means if you're wanting to relate to them in the way that they like to relate, you better hop into their box, all right, and relate to them the way. We'll get into that a little bit further down the track, but really quite interesting and very powerful knowledge to learn. So what are the emotional needs of each style? The driver's emotional need is power and control. The expressive's emotional need is fun and recognition. The analytical, respect, and they get their respect out of making right decisions. The amiable, support and teamwork is their emotional need. Can you see how important it is to know the needs, the emotional needs of each style? Not only what they are, what each style is, and we'll go into that, but their emotional need. And if you've got the ability to do the platinum rule way, you're going to get this because you're interested in learning how it is for each other's style. If you're locked into that golden rule, you're not going to get this, all right? You need to hop out of your own perspective and learn the ability to come from the perspective of the person that you're relating to. Make sense? So let's look at the driver. The emotional and characteristics, they're fast, factual people, born leaders, they're fast, as we mentioned, dynamic and active, compulsive, need for change, must correct wrongs, all right, independent, self-sufficient, they can run anything. I was going to put a picture up there, but I couldn't find the applicable picture for that. I try and put clip art in wherever I can, but I ran out of time. Sorry about that. But most of us know that type of person, all right? They usually drive Mercedes or Rolls Royce or the latest Ferrari or something like that. They need to be noticed for their acquisitions. There's a lot going on here with the driver. They're strong-willed, they're decisive, does not show emotion, not easily discouraged, exudes confident. And by the way, if you see somebody in the club with a captain's hat on, usually that's a driver. The driver at work, they're goal-orientated, they see the whole picture, organizer, seeks practical solutions, moves quickly to action, delegates work, insists on production. Always makes the goal, stimulates activity, thrives on opposition. As a parent, they exert sound leadership, establishes family goals, motivates family to action, knows the right answer, and word is the law. Always has the final word, believes in discipline, leads activities, closeness is foreign, organizes household. All right, that is your driver as a parent. As a friend, well, they have little need for friends. They works for group activity, will lead and organize, is usually right, excels in emergencies. Okay? The amiable, remember, slow emotion, low key, easygoing, relaxed, calm, cool, collective, patient, well-balanced, consistent life, quiet but witty, sympathetic and kind, happily reconciled to life, all-purpose person, dependable and loyal, a team worker, good at reconciling factions. The amiable at work, competent and steady, peaceful and agreeable, administrative ability, patient and well-balanced, mediates problems, avoids contacts, finds the easy way, good listener, loyal to leader, loyal to cause, great team worker, good at reconciling factions. The amiable as a parent, good parent, takes time for children, is not in a hurry, slow, can take the good and the bad, doesn't get upset easily, patiently listens to children. As a friend, the amiable is easy to get on with, pleasant and enjoyable to be around, inoffensive, good listener, dry sense of humor, enjoys watching, patiently listens to children, has many friends, compassionate and caring. All right. The emotions and characteristics of the expressive. Now remember, they are fast or emotional first people. Appealing personality, talkative, storyteller, impetuous, life of the party, great sense of humor, demonstrative and emotional, enthusiastic and expressive. Cheerful and bubbly, curious, lives in the present, sincere at heart, changeable disposition, always the child, wide-eyed and innocent. Now, I can now tell you that that's my primary social style, is expressive. I have other things in there, just like you will when you did the test, but I came out strongly expressive, dolphin-type person. The expressive at work, volunteers for jobs, thinks up new activities, looks great on the surface, creative and colourful, charms others to work, inspires others to join, starts in a flashy way, and notice it says starts in a flashy way, doesn't always end up that way, has high energy, fast. All right? Fast people. As a parent, the expressive makes home fun, is liked by children and friends, turns disaster into humor, is the circus master, unique intimacy with children. As a friend, the expressive makes friends easily, loves people, thrives on compliments, seems exciting, envied by most, doesn't hold grudges, apologizes and forgives quickly, prevents dull moments, lives spontaneously. Let's look at the analytical. Emotions and characteristics. Now these are slow facts first people. Deep and thoughtful, analytical, detail-orientated, loves charts and lists, serious and purposeful, genius-prone, talented and creative, artistic or musical, philosophical, poetic, appreciation of beauty, sensitive to others, conscientious, idealistic, and self-searching. At work, the analytical is schedule-orientated, perfectionist, analytical, detail, conscious, persistent, and thorough. Orderly and organized, neat and tidy, economical, artistic and musical, sees the problems, finds creative solutions, has to finish a job. Now there's a picture of an analytical character cutting the grass, making sure that the blades of grass are all the same height. That is very much an analytical trait. Let's look at the analytical as a parent. Sets very high standards. They want everything done right. Keeps home in order, picks up after children, which if he's got an opposite wife, by the way, I'm talking male and female here, if he is the analytical and his wife is the opposite, which opposite to an analytical is an expressive, all right, the expressive cannot handle him picking up after their children, all right, sacrifices own will, encourages qualifications and scholarships in the children, all right. Analytical as a friend. They make friends cautiously, prefers to stay behind, avoids causing attention, faithful and devoted, listens to complaints, encourages qualifications and scholarships, can solve problems, deep concern for others, move to tears with compassion, and quietly seeks the ideal mate. Okay, negative traits. All right, now there are obviously positive and negative character traits for each social style. On this recorded workshop, I'm not going to go into the negative side of the potentials of each style. So I will. That is in the material that I have sent out to you in the test. So let's move on. You can check all the rest of that stuff for yourself. So let's move on. Let's take a look at what happens when we squeeze an orange and why. What could he be talking about? Let's take an orange and just imagine that you're squeezing it. What sort of juice comes out of the orange? Well, that's a pretty hard one, right? Why does orange juice come out of the orange when under pressure? Because that's what's inside, right? Humans are exactly the same under pressure. When humans are placed under pressure by themselves or others, juice comes out. Now, as humans, we call this juice behavior. Let's take a quick peek at each social style and what happens under pressure. The driver under pressure will fight. Okay, the amiable under the pressure, any idea? Acquiesces. The expressive under pressure, guess what we're really good at? We argue, okay? We just stand in the face and argue. The analytical under pressure will avoid. If you're ever unsure of where you're at or someone else is at, simply ask yourself or them how you or they respond under pressure. Okay, what's their main behavior? What happens to them behavior-wise when they're under pressure? Do they get angry? Do they fight? Do they acquiesce? Do they start arguing? Do they avoid? That'll be your closest way of finding out really quickly, if you don't have the time, what social style that you may be dealing with. The other important thing I found out when snap judging, which you can do later on when you get really good at this, but what you do is you snap judge what they're not. All right, so somebody is walking fast, talking fast, you feel in that situation. That might not be their full actions. That may not be, it could be just because of the situation that they're being really fast. They could be panicking, all right, and moving fast, and you mistakenly think that they're an expressive or a driver. You've got to be really careful. So here's what I do. Here's what I call the golden rule. Never judge somebody for what they are, but eliminate what style they are not. All right? Never judge for what they are. If you're going to snap judge when you get good at this, and maybe you need to at times because there's very little time and you need to know, and you really do need to know what social style you're dealing with or you think you're dealing with. How to test that is always by elimination. It's not by what you believe that they are. Got it? That really did help me when I learned that. So, have you ever heard the saying, people don't care what you know until they know that you care? Yeah? So which two social styles do you believe this does not apply to? Two that this does not apply to. You got it. The driver and the analytical. They don't care that you care until they know that you know. All right? They're facts first people. Okay, so which two styles are left do you think do care that you care prior to knowing that you know? Yeah, the expressive and the analytical. Interacting with each style. Okay, here we go. Final part of the workshop. You'll find, and this is fun to me because this is where I, as a expressive, really have fun. And you can. You will find more in-depth description with the personality profiling self-test material. Once you know your own style, the work becomes learning what that means in relation to interacting with the other social styles. Let's have some fun by looking at what can happen with different social styles when interacting with the other styles. Let's have some fun and seeing what happens when each style, with no knowledge of this people skill, attempts to interact with the other three social styles. So the amiable, what do you think happens with the amiable who has no knowledge of personality profiles, attempts to communicate his or her message with the driver? What do you think is going to happen? Okay, you've got a slow emotional person there who's trying to approach a fast factual person, facts first type person. What do you think's going to go on there? Okay, so what does the amiable have to do to be able to relate to that driver? Because chances are the driver, he's not going to change, is he? Or she. There's some pretty powerful she drivers out there, I tell you. So what does the amiable have to do? So these are questions, that I want you to think about after the workshop. Like go back through this workshop and look at these things because it takes a little bit of working out. The amiable, let's say I'm amiable, I'm slow, I'm feeling type person. And this person I'm approaching is fast and they're not interested in how I'm feeling. They're interested in the facts and they want their facts when? Right now. Okay, so as an amiable, I've got to speed up, number one, and I better get my facts right on, all right? And the driver uses time to be effective, so I can't be myself. I can't stay in my own personality profile. I can't stay amiable. I've got to think about this and prepare for that meeting. And interesting, huh? How about the analytical, slow, factual person? And they're communicating with the fast, emotional, expressive, emotion first person. All right, the analytical, not really into emotion first. I am. So the analytical is going to have to grow, right? The analytical is going to have to grow. And they're going to have to become really heart-orientated person if they're going to connect with that expressive person, if they want to be successful in their communication. Okay. We'll whip through these, the amiable and the analytical. Again, I want you to go through these in your own time. Really think about it. Once you know your own social style, really go to work and do some practice on how you are going to relate to the other three styles. Some of you will be a mixture of the different profiles. I've met people that are, 25% driver, 25% expressive, 25% analytical, and 25% amiable. All right, that's what you call a really well-balanced person, but most of us are not. Most of them are pretty scarred and bruised and bleeding from past and hurts and life, that one of these has come to the forefront. So we have to learn what that means in this process of relating to others. Because I can tell you, I can promise to you, if you can learn this stuff, if you can learn how to relate to the three styles that you're not, and learn how to identify as quickly as possible what they're not and therefore what they are, and then you relate to that person based on that knowledge that you've learned, the improvement in your business life, your social life, every angle is gonna be so much better. Here's the driver and the expressive. Okay, how's the driver who doesn't know anything about personality profiles and he's going to relate to an expressive? What do you think is going to happen? They're both fast. All right, so it's going to be a fast argumentative fight, I reckon. Okay. It's just going to be. All right, if the driver is not, because the driver is like factual, quick, expressive, he wants to have fun. Driver doesn't want to have fun. Driver wants to get the facts across and get you to make a decision as fast as he can. The expressive, he's not into knowledge first, remember, he's into relationship first. So, or she. Forgive me for saying he or she. More than I should, but you know what I mean. Here we go with the amiable and the expressive. Both are emotion people, one fast, one slow. So how's that going to work out? Again, if I'm amiable and I want to effectively communicate with an expressive, we're both on the right side of the emotion first graph, but where we're different is I want it fast and you want it slow. Sorry, as the amiable, I want it slow, you want it fast. We got to work that out, don't we? We got to think about that. So, and I'm just letting you know that once I found this information out, together with the 4 reasons why people don't get involved, which I turned into the amateur to professional weekend workshop. When I had all that information, and these profiles were a big part of that. But I was keen, I was keen to learn. I wanted to make money at the time, and I wanted to make as much money as I could because I just wanted to do things. I'm expressive. I want to do things. I want fast. I want results fast. I lived a fast life. Therefore, I just wanted to be able to do it more effectively because the way I was doing it was burning me out. And so this is why all of this material and self-development material became so important throughout my life. I worked out a couple of years back how much I'd spent in personal development workshops and seminars all around the world, and it was over $200,000. So, I don't know how important your self-development is, but for me, it's been priority in my life. Now, it's interesting that in life, guess who ends up with who in the most successful way? It's the opposite. So the driver should attract an amiable for a life partner because the amiable has the most to offer the driver in the way of support, and the driver has the most to offer the amiable in the way of he'll take charge. And the amiable needs someone to take charge. All right? So they're a perfect match for each other. The analytical will end up with the expressive. Well, hopefully, because the expressive is so fast and off their tree most of the time, they need someone who's grounded to clean up the mess. Okay, so they need an analytical type person, and they both get on really, really well in that sense because they need each other. Okay, so think about that as you're looking at couples and see, when I learned this stuff, I was looking around at, who's what and who's not what, and look at those two together. And sometimes you'll see a driver, and man, that's exciting to watch. And sometimes you'll see an amiable with an amiable because they've actually got together with someone like themselves. Best person you get with in life, in my opinion anyway, is someone that's going to help you grow, someone who's going to be your soul guide. And that's always going to be the person you don't get on with in every respect. It's going to be the person that grates you the most. That's the person that's going to help you grow the most. The amateur versus the professional. We now understand, however, why the amateur is only being effective with 25% of the population who are of similar style. You see down there in the left-hand corner, we went through that in the last graphic. And why those who have taken the time to have learnt this people skill are more effective with 100% of the population, regardless of their social style. And we call that a professional. The professional positions themselves right in the middle. Regardless of their own social style, they're aware of each other trait in each other's social style. And they do their very best to practice relating to those social styles how they like to be related to. That's the professional. Okay? So that's it. Thank you for being here. You now have the knowledge of the People Skill Personality Profiling. Whether or not you apply this knowledge is, of course, in your hands. And the question you have to ask is, which do you want to be, the amateur or the professional? Thank you very much. The content within this workshop has been drawn from a myriad of authors and researchers on the subject of personality profiling, social styles and behavioral styles. And we'd like to pass on our sincere thanks and appreciation for all those who have provided this knowledge in one form or another, and of whom without we would not be learning and presenting this information. Thanks for being here. It's been fun and an honor to serve. Love, respect and light. 2 slides to go. The Enneagram work. Now, some of you would have known of this work, some of you haven't heard of it before. And if you've enjoyed the value within the workshop and you'd like to keep learning more, I suggest you go a step deeper by learning all you can on the Enneagram. While learning of the personality and profile undoubtedly has been of massive value and increased your effectiveness, personality profile can change depending on new life experiences. The Enneagram, on the other hand, goes a lot deeper, and you'll discover what your deeper drives are and what's motivating you to move in certain directions in life. Plus, what positive and negative patterns you're currently running. Highly recommended. And I've put a link there to the Enneagram. It's just, not www.enneagraminstitute.com. I hope you've enjoyed it. And again, thank you very, very much for being here and giving up your time. I appreciate you. Cheers for now.